This is Empty the Bench with Tom Albano.
Good on Derek Carr to basically stick the middle finger to Josh McDaniels and the Raiders organization and say, no, screw you, release me. You don't have to deal with my money, but I want to actually be a free agent. Because guess what, Nick? Someone's going to pay him very handsomely.
Nick Morgasen.
0.001% fandom I have right now with the Jets is lingering over that cliff that I'm hanging over right now. If you want me to just run for good, then go ahead and go get Aaron Rodgers. I dare you, Jets. Go out and get Aaron Rodgers.
Empty the Bench starts now.
R-E-L-A-X. R-E-L-A-X.
Ah!
R-E-L-A-X.
Oh, shit.
R-E-L-A-X.
I almost fell off my chair.
So, Nick, I was very tempted to start today's episode by just having myself on the floor and rising up, but I think you took that opportunity away from me.
Yeah, that's what I get for bringing content to everybody. Welcome to episode 173 of Empty the Bench on the Empty the Bench podcast network. Tom Albano, Nick Morgasen. Follow us across social media at ETB Sports, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Follow us across the Empty the Bench podcast network at ETB Network. At ETB Network across all platforms. I'll explain this in a second. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Follow us on YouTube, youtube.com/ETB Network. Make sure you go hit that subscribe button. Also, our website, etbpodcast.com. Okay, I got to learn how to English. But yes.
Also, don't forget when you subscribe, one more step you got to do. You got to remember to hit the bell so that way you get notified of everything. Not just all the Empty the Bench stuff, but MMA Outsiders, Fruity Cereal, and so much more. Obviously, we're on a day later. Thanks, Verizon, for randomly shutting off my internet for 24 hours. That was fun.
Yeah, the internet doesn't give a shit if you have to do a podcast or not.
Yeah, well, Nick, we've been through a lot the last 24 hours. You know what I think we need to do? I think we need to...
R-E-L-A-X.
Shut up! Ugh, I can't.
Nick, he's already out of the wilderness. He's come out from the darkness, and oh no, wait a minute, he sees his shadow. That means 6 more weeks of trying to wait on a decision on what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers.
I can't. And all these reports that the Jets are now involved, I don't even know if that was a topic in today's show, but I'm already mad about Aaron Rodgers.
Well, we've already discussed this. That's why you fell off your chair last week, Nick.
By the way, you're welcome, America. I gave you content last week to laugh at. Okay?
Did you when you fell backwards? Did you hit your head when you fell backwards? Did you forgot that we talked about Aaron last week?
Maybe. I don't know. By the way, just so people know, yes, I got a new microphone flag for the network. Yes. I think it actually came out really good, to be honest. The design, and I think we're going to do it for some of the other shows. The name of the company, I think you should give them a shout because they did, even though it was 10 days late. ImpactPBS.com. They make mic flags and podcast mic flags. So shout to them because this actually came out really, really well done artwork wise. So we have a lot to get into this week. Some interesting stories. Some I don't understand why they made news on social media, including a certain story that might be on their period. Yes, pun intended. You'll hear about that in a little bit. NBA news. Yes, you're going to talk about how I think...
Plenty of NBA news today. This is going to be your style of show.
I mean, yes, I'm going to talk about why the NBA All-Star Weekend should be canceled. Yes, that's what I just said.
Okay, you know what? Let's just get right into that. So our top story this week, over the past weekend, McClung won the NBA Slam Dunk Contest as part of the NBA All-Star festivities. Yes, for those of you who are asking who McClung is, well, he started as a G Leaguer this season, and he became the first G League invitee to the NBA All-Star game. I mean, into the NBA All-Star festivities as part of the Slam Dunk Contest. And now in the time between, he earned a 10-day contract with the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yes, he did. He did earn a 10-day contract. He did earn his way onto an NBA roster. But does that mean that he really should be in the NBA dunk contest? I don't know.
Well, Nick, guess what? Yes, it does, because he won it. And not only did he win it, he won it with almost every score being a 50 out of 50. He had one score was a 90. I think Lisa Leslie gave him a 49 out of 50 on one of his first round dunks. That prevented the perfect score.
By the way, can we talk about the judges in the last couple of years and an NBA dunk contest? Lisa
Why?
Leslie, Draymond Green. Really?
I mean, it's stars, Nick. Stars and legends.
Draymond doesn't dunk. And by the way, don't get offended when I say this, people of the WNBA community, but most females don't dunk. Sorry, I don't mean that in an offensive way, but it's two people that don't really dunk in the game of basketball. Sorry, just saying the facts.
Well, let's talk about this All-Star festivity and this slam dunk contest. So, Nick, I'm not going to lie. You're right. Over the last couple of years, we have had some pretty depressing slam dunk contests. But honestly, yeah, maybe it sounds funny that McClung, an NBA G Leaguer, ended up beating out a bunch of other NBA caliber players in the slam dunk contest. But I think it kind of brought a little life to it, at least compared to the last few years.
I mean, you're right. It did bring some flair, because that's the word they love to use in the NBA dunk contest. But come on, a G Leaguer winning the NBA dunk contest? You know what? LeBron James started
Hey,
these
Nick.
issues. What?
The fact is, no stars are competing in this thing.
My point. Exactly. Thank you. No All-Stars are competing. I just don't get it.
Well, no stars are competing in this thing. I mean, we've seen a couple of stars compete with the 3-point contest. We definitely see the stars come out when it comes to the NBA All-Star game. Granted, I think 3 or 4 spots this year got moved to other people because of injuries.
Yeah, now the 3-point competition, everyone seems to compete. Dame Lillard finally won the 3-point contest for the first time in his career, and he essentially said he's not going to retire from that competition, not playing anymore. 3-point competition is not a problem. Stars will compete, because again, guess what? They don't want to get hurt like they would in the dunk contest. By the way, you want to know who we could thank for this problem? It doesn't take rocket science here.
I know. It doesn't take a lot to know from your brain who it is.
LeBron James, yes, it's master of the obvious here. LeBron James, who said, I refuse to participate in the dunk competition, because essentially, he didn't say this, but this is what he should have said. I don't want to get hurt, and I don't want to affect all the millions of billions I do in my life. So, because he doesn't compete, no other stars compete. This didn't happen back in the 90s.
Nick, I think you're forgetting that the 1997 slam dunk contest was one of the worst slam dunk contests we ever saw, to the point where they actually canceled the slam dunk contest for 1998. And then 1999, we had the NBA strike, so it didn't really matter.
Okay, but here's the difference. In the 90s, you had more people that were willing to compete in the contest. You notice that with Michael Jordan, it was all about the NBA. There was no such thing as load management. There was no such thing as, I need to protect my body for outside opportunities and not just the NBA anymore. Michael Jordan cared about the NBA.
Well, Nick, let's talk it. So, the 1997 slam dunk contest. You had Kobe Bryant. You had Ray Allen, Darvin Ham, Chris Carr, Michael Finley, and Bob Sura.
That's still better than today, than 2023.
And actually, Ray Allen didn't even make it out of the first round. The finals were Bryant, Carr, and Finley.
I don't care. Kobe Bryant and Ray Allen are brand names in the NBA.
Okay, so 2022 All-Star Weekend. Let's see. We had in the slam dunk contest, we had... Where was it? Okay. Oh, hang on. I googled 2022. Pardon me. I mean 2023 All-Star Weekend. I was gonna say I saw Obi Toppin come out. Like, wait a minute, he won last year. That was my fault. We had Mac McClung, Jericho Sims, who's been taking a lot of crap on Twitter, by the way.
Sounds about right.
Trey Murphy III, Kenyon Martin Jr., and Shadon Sharp.
Ugh. Wait a minute, is that Sharp's son?
Oh, well, Shadon Sharp, pardon me. Shadon Sharp was supposed to compete, and then he withdrew from the competition.
Gee, I wonder why. Because people are afraid of getting hurt in the dunk contest. Shocker.
Meanwhile, in the 3-point contest, you had Dame, you had Jason Tatum, Tyler Hero, Julius Randle, Kevin Gerter, Anthony Simmons, Buddy Hield, Tyrese Halliburton, Laurie Markkanen. Yeah,
that's fine because you had 3 stars competing in it, so that's fine. Okay, now dunk competition, they should just cancel it. They should literally just cancel it because no more stars. We should call it the LeBron James rule.
Oh.
It's the LeBron James effect. That's what's happened to the dunk contest. You can't tell me it's nothing else.
We can't just outright cancel it. I mean, it wouldn't be as fun the All-Star Weekend if we didn't have the slam dunk contest.
Okay, wait a minute. You just said it. What's the name of the weekend?
All-Star Weekend.
Okay, NBA All-Star Weekend. That's why it's called All-Star Weekend, because the All-Stars are supposed to be the best of the best.
Okay, but Nick, let me take your letter of the law theory. What if we have a guy who in the NBA does crazy style dunks, but they're not really a great player. They're not going to be a LeBron or a Giannis or CP3 or anything like that. Shouldn't they still have the right to compete in the NHL? You have all different little skills competitions.
I mean, you do. I get it, but any All-Star Weekend, just forget the NBA. Say all of them. It's supposed to be the best of the best. You're showcasing the best of the best talent.
But look at the Home Run Derby. Home Run Derby, you can compete even though you're not an All-Star.
But the one difference I'll say about the Home Run Derby, and this is the one I'll give them credit for, most stars will compete in the Home Run Derby.
We've seen over the last couple of years some say no.
A good portion of them will.
Aaron Judge won't do it ever again.
Well, because didn't he win one? I mean, so once you win, you really don't have to compete in the Derby anymore. That's in my head.
But how's that any different than the slam dunk contest? Somebody could say, I won the slam dunk contest. I'm not going to do it anymore.
Okay, most of the stars that are around now have not won a dunk contest. That's the difference. They won't even try, is my point.
Okay, let me throw to you then the proposal I made in the ETB Minute. What if we swapped the places? Say you start All-Star Weekend with the slam dunk contest and you end with the 3-point contest because that's where some of the stars compete.
It's not going to matter. I'll tell you why it's not going to matter. Because it's basically come to the theory of I don't want to hurt myself because I don't want to lose out on a contract I'm going to get. That's what it's come down to.
That's not my point, Nick. What I'm saying is you keep the slam dunk contest, but if you want to talk about stars and you want to talk about having the stars in prime time, then how about you start the All-Star program on Saturday, the earliest part with the slam dunk contest, and then as more people tune in for the stars, more of the contests involving the stars can go on.
But my point is, I'm saying it doesn't matter where you put it at this point. I'm saying that the players have gotten to the point, and forget LeBron James. That's a whole different issue. My point is, the stars have basically got it in their head that if I hurt myself putting on a dunk competition show, I might lose out on the one contract that could make me hundreds of millions of dollars. That's what it's come down to at this point. It's if you need the incentive needs to be higher. There needs to be, I heard someone say this and I don't remember who, so I apologize if I don't give the right credit here, but someone said you need like a $10 million purse at the NBA dunk competition.
I mean, I don't know about 10 million, but a financial prize, that would definitely be something.
Well, it's got to be enough to get certain stars and certain people to compete. See, I'm talking about $10 million purse, not at the top. I'm saying where you have a purse like for first, second, and third, and you break that number down, and you at least say, all right, of that 10 million, we'll go 5 million for first, 3 million for second, and 2 million for third. And that way you have an incentive built in that's needed to get these stars to compete. That's the big problem we're having here. I don't know. I just don't know. It's frustrating. It is what it is. The dunk competition is a joke.
Can you see me?
Yep.
Okay. I just pulled up a thing here from Yahoo Sports, by the way. I mean, if you're going to criticize the slam dunk contest, you might have to criticize everything about this All-Star.
I am.
Average combined 2.2 rating and 4.59 million viewers. Significant decline from last year's game, which had a 3.1, which was already itself a previous low at 6.28 million viewers.
That's not a surprise. The numbers have been dipping on NBA All-Star Weekend every year because no one cares about NBA All-Star Weekend because the stars don't compete. Either they're out of the dunk competition or they pull out of the All-Star game. And no one gives a shit about the skills competition anymore. You're telling me that if I have to watch someone throw a ball on a bounce pass through a cylinder, that's entertaining? No one cares. And the celebrities game, everyone can if we pull in all the celebrities, then maybe their social media, they'll be able to promote the game. It hasn't worked.
It's definitely something that we're going to have to figure out. So let's move on now, Nick, to talk about, a story that has kind of made its way out there with Karl Malone, because I think Karl Malone was there All-Star Weekend, correct? Wasn't he one of the judges?
He's one of the honorees because the game was in Utah.
Oh, that's right, honorees. Yeah. And apparently we've got this news story that has kind of resurfaced itself that when Karl Malone was 20 years old, he got a 12-year-old pregnant, allegedly.
So apparently this story has been hidden for a very long time. Very long time. And now all of a sudden, out of the woodworks, this news story comes out. And people, including Bomani Jones on his show Game Theory on HBO, was very critical of Karl Malone. And we should be very critical of Karl Malone. Are you kidding me? At 20 years old, you got first of all, why at 20 years old are you dating someone that's 12 or 13 years old? That's a whole nother issue in itself. But I was also reading in some of the quotes that apparently when they decided to keep the kid because of the financial, knowing that Karl Malone was going to be a big name. Yeah, but he basically said, I don't remember the quote, but basically he's like, well, I don't have to take care of this child. I mean,
that's awful. That's really awful for somebody.
No kidding. And I'm sure he's probably made a lot of money over his career to this point. I think he's a Hall of Famer, if I'm not mistaken. But people were questioning whether he should have been part of the honorees in Utah for the All-Star game. What was the comment you made to me about Utah, though? Unfortunately, I can't remember. You said
that wasn't about that.
Was it not about that?
Yeah, it wasn't about this. I off air, I had made some sort of joke to Nick about polygamy.
Oh, right. You're right.
That's about multiple spouses, not young.
Yes, you're right. But this is ridiculous. Karl Malone, and by the way, our favorite term when it comes to legal situations, which I'm about to say, which means this case is... What?
The big A that I've already said?
No. Statute of limitations. Because what are they going to do? They can't go back now. I don't know how old Karl Malone is now. He's got to be in his 50s or his 60s at this point.
I'll look it up.
Statute of limitations is good. You're not going to be able to do anything about this.
He was born in 1963. That would put him at 59. He'll turn 60 this year.
By the way, if I'm not mistaken, that kid was in the NFL.
What?
Yeah, I saw that the other day.
What was the kid's name?
I can't remember the kid's name off the top of my head. I'm looking it up, but that's what I did read, that he played a couple years in the NBA.
Oh,
NFL. Excuse me,
Demetrius Bell.
Demetrius Bell. Yeah, he played in the NFL. So,
All right.
like, Jesus Christ, what the hell are you doing, Karl Malone? Karl Malone should be banned from anything NBA, and I mean that in a serious way.
Hold on. So this is actually from the Wikipedia entry. Although Malone was 20 years old at the time that it was 13, Gloria Bell was impregnated. She said that her family chose not to pursue criminal charges.
That's it.
According to Bell, with Malone being a neighbor, Summerfield's, because the population of the town that they're from is only a few hundred. It's not a lot. Her family didn't wish to see him jailed, especially since he then would not be able to provide any support for Demetrius.
What? So they stuck up for him when it happened. Ugh. NBA athletes. It's so weird to me now. NBA athletes are acting like they have all this power. Why? I thought NFL athletes were bad. Now NBA athletes are riding up that train with the NFL players now. Is that what's happening now?
I don't know. But again, but this is also a situation from the 90s. You have frustration about the players of today.
No, I do, but this story, you're saying that this was almost 40-something years ago, and it's first coming out now.
No, I'm saying 30-something years ago.
Whatever, 30-something years ago, and we're first hearing about this now. And again, statute of limitations, can't be done, can't be touched. He's also Karl Malone, which means he's a name, so he won't get touched by the court system.
Well, he's a celebrity. It was a number of years ago, and the family chose not to pursue criminal charges. And Demetrius Bell, I think, is 18 now. I mean, over 18 now. He was in the NFL, so that's 4 different strikes right there. That nothing's going to happen as a result of this.
Karl Malone, and if the NBA, and we all know the NBA is not smart, especially with the commissioner that's running it right now. Adam Silver needs to ban him from being involved in any NBA festivities ever. I'm serious. This is bad. This is sending a horrible message for the NBA.
All I can say is, Nick, I mean, when it comes to a situation like this, you can celebrate a player for what they've done on the court, on the field, whatever, but then you also can recognize that they are a disgusting human being off of it.
Athletes think they have all the power in the world, including not following the law. That's the issue we have, not following the law. God.
All right, let's talk less about what happened during All-Star Weekend. Let's talk about some I mean, it's on the court and off the court stuff, because we had a couple of buyouts recently when it came to some modern NBA players, one of whom being Kevin Love. So Kevin Love and the Cavaliers have reportedly agreed to a buyout. He's joining the Heat after this waiver clearing period. And in these statements, because the Heat gave a statement, because Kevin Love, he's been a longtime Cavalier, he's part of that 2016 championship team with LeBron and Kyrie. Talk about how great of a person he is. Big mental health advocate, by the way. We talked about his struggles with mental health. And they love Love so much that they have already announced, even though he hasn't retired from the NBA, that they are going to retire his number Z.
I mean, I don't know. I this is a weird and bizarre headline that you're retiring someone's number who's not even retired. I mean, or you're saying you're going to retire somebody's number, and he's going to join he's not going to the Western Conference. He's joining a rival inside the Eastern Conference, and you're saying you're agreeing to retire his number.
Well, remember, it's not like they're actually trading him. They are letting him go.
They bought him out.
The Cavaliers are going into another direction.
Well, we'll see how long this direction lasts with Dan Gilbert and the Cavs. How many directions have they gone? They brought back LeBron for a cup of coffee, won a championship, and then he was out the door again. I mean, we'll see. We'll see if Donovan Mitchell can really lead the charge of this team.
I was going to say, I mean, come on. Cavaliers are 38-23. You have to give some credit where credit's due. Their acquisition of Donovan Mitchell was a significant plus.
Gotta win. Gotta make the playoffs and win. That's the big thing they got to do here.
Yeah, well, we'll see if winning is in the cards for the Cavaliers. I mean, first of all, do you consider the Cavaliers a favorite as of this point in the Eastern Conference?
Favorite as in what? Making a deep playoff run, winning a title? What essence?
Or for winning a title?
No.
How about
Not
in the NBA Finals.
To make it to the NBA Finals? No. They will compete. They will compete, and they will make it tough for people above them. But only having Donovan Mitchell as your top star, you can't win.
I'd say I would put the Bucks. I wouldn't put them above the Bucks or Celtics.
No, the Bucks and the Celtics are the two best teams in the NBA.
How do you feel about retiring a jersey even though a player is technically not retired? I mean, we did kind of technically see that at the end of the 2013 Yankee season, but that was a very rare kind of exception because Mariano Rivera was one of the players who was grandfathered in wearing the number 42 when Major League Baseball retired 42 in honor of Jackie Robinson across the league in 1997. So, I mean, that's a very rare kind of circumstance. But let's say, I mean, as much as you hate him, let's take LeBron, for instance. Could you see a situation where LeBron, by whether it's the Cavs or the Heat or the Lakers, whoever, retire his number? Because on the let's say after this 2 year, the rest of his contract with the Lakers, he joins Bronny in. I hate saying it, but because you like to tease it, let's say New York. Let's say New York. Could you see them a team on the very last day? It's the last day of the regular season. Could you see a situation where a Knicks or even a Cavs, because that was his old team, the Heat, because it was his old team, Lakers, his current team now, retiring his number on the very last day of the season just because he's retiring?
First of all, if you're not retired, in my book, you don't get a retired number until you're out of the league for good.
Would you say the most situations an exception because of the Jackie Robinson thing?
No. You have to be retired completely to get your number retired. You can't have a retired number or have a team agreeing to retire your number, because say you could go on and play another 3-4 years and play better in another place. Now, with Kevin Love, in my opinion, his number really shouldn't be retired anywhere because he hasn't had the career that some of these other guys have had. And by the way, the only reason he has a title is because he played alongside LeBron James in Cleveland. Otherwise, he wouldn't have an NBA title.
I mean, he played a role, though. He was a role player.
A role player. I mean, I don't know. I think, and I hate to say this too, but like part of the issues going on with why he had to leave Cleveland, and basically he basically was not playing in Cleveland. He was basically benched. And the reason is because of all the mental health situations going on with him. And he came out and said it wasn't the best situation for me, and I needed a new place to kind of find my way in life so that I could do what I want to do. And not being able to do what he wanted to do in Cleveland was just not bearable. You know what I mean?
I didn't hear a word you said. You've completely froze up.
Oh, I was saying that I don't think his number should be retired. I think the only reason that he's going through the buyout situation in Cleveland is because of the whole mental health situations that he's going through.
I mean, but you got to give a lot of credit to Kevin Love for being such a advocate for mental health, because we as commentators, as media, podcasters, whatever you want to call myself, you, and everybody else around us, sometimes I would just stretch it to even normal fans who don't have any sort of media input. We can be really tough on these players. And Kevin Love had a very, rough time in LeBron's last couple of years. I mean, let's face it, LeBron's last couple of years in Cleveland were rough. How many times do we talk about how LeBron basically had to put the team on his back and make it through the NBA championship based on just around him, which, I think kind of didn't help his situation, which is why he left, for part of why he left for a second time, because they didn't have the ability to build a team around him. And I mean, we're seeing what's going on with the Lakers right now when it comes to not being able to build a team or trying to build a team. And for that's the thing. I think Kevin Love is worth celebrating a little, because it's not so much, Nick, about what he's doing on the court. It is the off the court stuff. It is the fact that he was brave enough to speak up. It is the fact that he is willing enough to, talk about his problems and such. Now, does it mean his jersey should be retired? I mean, I understand the argument for why it shouldn't, but at the same time, that 2016 team, and you could even talk about just that stretch in general, 2015 to 2018, LeBron's second tenure in Cleveland, it is one of the most beloved eras in Cleveland, not just Cleveland Cavaliers, in Cleveland sports history. I mean, you think about the history of Cleveland, Nick, that 2016 year, you Indians making it to the World Series. You had the Cavaliers as part of their 4 year straight of going to the NBA Finals, finally achieving the NBA championship. LeBron James finally winning a championship, bringing a title home to Cleveland. I'd say and then of course the Browns. Well, as we say sometimes on the show, Nick, the Browns. So you think about just that one period, right, when it came to Cleveland and sports. I think that's part of why his jersey is being retired, is because of what the Cavaliers achieved during that time that they haven't been able to replicate before or since. And again, not just Cleveland Cavaliers history, but just Cleveland sports history in general, and the fact of his off the court advocacy.
No, I mean, that makes sense. And like I said, I feel for all the mental health issues he had over the last couple of years when he was dealing with the mental health issues and dealing with everything that goes along with being an athlete and dealing with the mental toll that it takes being an athlete. But you can't retire a number while current athlete, or you can't agree to retire a number as a currently playing athlete. That's not how it works. Listen to this: agreeing to retire your number.
Okay, can I ask a different kind of question then?
Yeah.
Okay, if Kevin Love was actually retiring, let's say he retires after this season or retires after the 2024 season, would you say Kevin Love gets his jersey number retired anyway? Or would you have a problem, rather, I should say, with him getting his jersey number retired then?
Well, I don't know what the rules are for retired numbers in general, but I mean, that's probably more for I'm thinking Hall of Fame, because like in MLB, you have to wait 5 years to have any number retired. But would I have a problem with a team retiring him? Like if he retired after this season or
retired.
No, then that's fine. Like any team can retire. If he's done playing, then any team can retire his number. That's fine. Like I said, just to go back to something I just thought of with the LeBron argument, the only team that makes sense to me for retiring the jersey is Cleveland, because I know he won a championship in his home base. He grew up in Cleveland. He was a teenager in Cleveland. He was the young son of Cleveland growing up.
Boy.
Right. That's the only team, in my opinion, that makes sense for a retired number. Now, could people argue Miami because he won 2 championships in Miami in 4 years? You could. The Lakers are out of the equation for me, in my book.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I was gonna say, I think what you said about LeBron was kind of like what I was saying about Love, though. That LeBron James, Kevin Love, Kyrie Irving era in Cleveland, for as short of it was as the 4 years, it was one of the best points in Cleveland, like I said, sports history. So I honestly would not blame Cleveland if in the rafters you had LeBron's 23, Kevin Love 0, and dare I say it, because of all of his problems off the court. But if they wanted to retire Kyrie's number 2, I mean, I don't know if I would like it, but I guess I kind of understand it.
Can we just say, though, that there's a fixation lately on retired numbers? Like, we see a lot more retired numbers in today's era of professional sports than we really did back then.
I mean, Nick, just remember something. We are fans of the New York Yankees who have a long number of retired numbers.
I mean, aren't they running out of numbers, essentially? Because
the only single-digit number available right now is 0.
That's bad. I mean, don't get me wrong, and trust me, you and I know this because we've been to Monument Park at some way, shape, or form to see every single retired number. It can end up in triple digits soon. I mean, heck, because they had to go to 99, it's the most popular number that they've sold out of because of Aaron Judge.
I'm gonna say this right now, Nick. The Yankees are going to be the first team to introduce a number 100.
Oh God. Well, they are firsts for a lot of things, but like I said, LeBron has to be retired to Cleveland. If I find out that he's retired in a Laker uniform, that's just travesty for the NBA. Okay, so he won a championship, which, by the way, I don't count because it was in the freaking bubble. Okay, I don't count it at all, and it's not a LeBron thing; it's a bubble thing. Okay, it's in a stupid bubble where no one had to travel to anywhere. Everything was in the same place. What?
I said the Disney bubble.
You're right, the Disney bubble. I forgot about that.
So you're gonna say LeBron won a championship with Mickey Mouse and Goofy and Donald Duck and all.
Oh, that sounds so creepy when you say it that way.
What? You just
no, I know.
With them.
I know.
I mean, maybe Dwight Howard and Goofy kind of, maybe the one does play the role.
Yeah, about that. I think Dwight Howard's playing overseas right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, in Taiwan, I think.
Taiwan. I don't know. I don't keep track of international basketball at this point.
Gorshnik.
Next.
Well, Nick, speaking of Los Angeles, we're going to talk about the other Los Angeles and Utah. Because there was a very big trade recently, and as a result, Russell Westbrook was sent over to the Jazz. Well, those two have agreed to a buyout, and now he is joining the Los Angeles Clippers.
I'm really not surprised. We all knew Russ wanted to go back to LA. Now, that's going to be a little weird because technically Staples Center, again, is his home.
It's not the Staples Center anymore.
Oh, Nick. Yeah, that's right. Crypto.com arena. Just wait. It's going to end up like FTX bankrupt. So now we're going to have to find a new name for Crypto.com arena.
Crypto.com. I hate that name so much.
Go back to Staples Center. You know what?
It will always be the Staples Center to me.
Cheap bastards in advertising. So frustrated. Damn it. I don't know. I'm just so done with Russell Westbrook. I mean, we knew someone was going to pick him up. We knew that was going to happen.
You're not surprised it's the Clippers? What do you see what the Clippers doing with him?
He's going to get to play more with the Clippers than he did with the Lakers. If that's what you're wondering. The Jazz were never going to keep him. That was basically a strict buyout situation. Mm-hmm. The Lakers were just trying to dump Russell Westbrook at this point because they knew he was never going to be anywhere. LeBron, by the way, talk about desperation. Did you see all of these hints he's been giving that he wants Kyrie Irving back on the Lakers? Or not back on the Lakers, he wants him on the Lakers.
Yeah, and I remember, I think I kind of hinted last week when or 2 weeks ago, when Kyrie ended up parting ways with Brooklyn and he didn't join the Lakers. It was like, maybe it's me or something like that.
LeBron, you are so desperate, it's not even funny. I mean, you can't win by yourself. Why don't you go join the I'm a follower, not a leader club with Kevin Durant?
But Nick, I don't know what the Los Angeles could put around LeBron to help him. I mean, that Lakers team right now is just
I mean, talk about a bust in Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
I mean, Anthony Davis and people, and I don't care if he hears this or not. Anthony Davis is a giant bust, figuratively and literally a bust. I'm sorry, like he is underperformed. He was way overvalued and way underperformed.
I will definitely say, I overvalued. I don't know. Has he underperformed? Well, I think that stretches to this entire Lakers team, Nick. That
he's been hurt.
Okay, he has been hurt. You're right. Well, I was gonna say, I think outperforming stretches, Nick, to the entire Lakers ever since LeBron has gotten there. They won that one championship, and then what else? They missed the playoffs one year, missed the playoffs another year.
They're probably going to miss it this year.
Miss it this year. This has not been the kind of success story that they thought it was going to be when they got LeBron James.
Now, don't get me wrong. They made some trades. They brought back D'Angelo Russell, I think, who was formerly a Laker, and then they traded him away and then got him back, which I don't understand why teams do that. Excuse me. But that might help him to spread the ball because at least D'Angelo Russell can shoot, unlike Russell Westbrook, who shoots 1,000,000 threes and bricks every single one of them. But and I love and Stephen A makes me laugh because Stephen A and Michael Wilbon on First Take a couple days ago were like, "Oh, now that they have D'Angelo Russell and they trade for these great pieces, they shouldn't finish below the 6th seed." And I was like, "Huh?
Nick.
What?"
So Stephen A made me laugh, right?
Yeah.
You know, I have a way to make it. I have a way to make you laugh with Stephen A.
Oh no.
Stay off the weed.
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, that's about right. He better get off the weed if he thinks that the Lakers are going to finish 6th in the Western Conference the way that that's built. The Lakers are not finishing 6th. I'll tell you that right now. If they finish 6th, I'd be impressed. I'd actually go. Wait a minute. I'd actually go climb Mount Everest if they became a 6th seed.
Oh, so this is like that Kevin Durant to Charlotte trade thing.
Yes.
Okay, so you know what? You want to put that on here again? If the Lakers finish 6th or above, you got to go climb Mount Everest.
Yes, because I know it's not going to happen, so it doesn't matter.
It's a bet. It's a bet.
It's not going to happen.
I mean, I want to agree. I want to agree. I want to agree with you because they're 27-32 and they're third to last in the Western Conference. I mean, they're not going to catch the Spurs or the Rockets for last. Jesus. Remember what the Spurs and Rockets just a few seasons ago were Western Conference contenders?
Yeah, and I don't know how many games are left for the Lakers at this point, but I think it's like 20-something games, 24, 25 games left.
Well, let's see. 27 plus 32 is 59, so 23 games left.
They would have to go like... How many games you said? 23? So
yeah,
they would have to... They would have to go like...
That's interesting, Nick. I mean, the Mavericks, look at it, they're only 31-29, and they're 6 right now.
Oh, no, they're all bunched up. It's like 2 to 3 games from like 3rd to 12th or something.
I don't know.
What?
And you want to take this bet that if the Lakers finish 6th, you will climb Mount Everest.
Yeah, because I know it's not going to happen, so I don't have to worry about it. They're not finishing 6th. Enough of this bullshit. The Lakers are not... I don't. What place are they in currently? I don't even know.
13th.
God, 14th. Give me a break. LeBron James is breaking down like that movie Kyrie Irving did. I can't remember the name of the movie. The old grandpa movie that they did.
Hang on.
But Uncle Drew, I think was the name of it.
Uncle Drew, yes.
LeBron is looking like Uncle Drew playing NBA in his 70s. I mean, can we stop this? And Stephen A, go take a hike. They're not finishing sixth. And I love it. Stephen A and Wilbon on First Take was like, you know what? We're not even going to hide behind journalism. We're going to say, you know what? We're rooting for LeBron James to make it to the NBA, to the playoffs. Because you know what? LeBron in the playoffs makes everything better.
Of course it does. That's the state of the NBA. Nick, wait, journalism? What's that?
I don't know. What's journalism? I don't know. But there's no integrity anymore in journalism. Stephen A should understand. Is the number? Wait a minute. Stephen A. What? Go ahead.
But Stephen A is also not a journalist. Just remember that.
No, he's another J.
Personality. He's a
no, he's another J. A joke.
Oh.
I mean,
wait, hang on, Nick. There's a message has been left for you.
Stay off the weed.
Well, you have to be on the weed to get all those connections. Anyway, I don't know. When you have guys like Wilbon and Stephen A saying that they're openly rooting for LeBron to make the playoffs because that's the only way the NBA succeeds, that's an old man's mentality. It's an old man's mentality. There's way more stars.
But Nick, are you not telling me that the NBA and Adam Silver wouldn't be happy if LeBron James made the playoffs?
They would be happy. Would the rest of the NBA and the rest of NBA fans be happy? That's a question. I don't know.
I mean, I want to say yes.
You really want to see LeBron in his late 30s, early 40s competing? You can't move.
I'd say I wouldn't mind if the Lakers didn't make the playoffs again. I like the current crop of stars. I think last season's playoffs were fine. Hang on, Nick. We got one more message here from Stephen A.
That is blasphemous. That is blasphemous.
I love it. Stephen A just makes up like his own vocabulary, and now it's become a brand on ESPN. Bravo.
Blasphemy is a word. Thank you very much.
No, I know. I'm saying like he's making up his own language essentially, and ESPN has gotten behind it and branded all of it because ESPN's the cash cow and has to make it every cent they can make.
Let's get off of the NBA for a bit as we're getting into the other end of this show. Let's talk about next some football news. So Eric Bieniemy, he has been a head coaching candidate now for what, 4 years or something like that?
I lost track.
He has been interviewed by half of the teams in the NFL, and he has not gotten a head coaching job. However, he now has a new job. He is no longer staying with Kansas City. He is going to become the offensive coordinator of the Washington Commanders.
Biggest career killer ever. Biggest career killer ever. Why the heck would you leave a team where Patrick Mahomes is going to make the playoffs every single year that he's there, and you're going to go to a team in Washington which has no quarterback, has essentially no offensive weapons. Their defense stinks. Who's the guy they drafted that got hurt?
Guy that they get? I mean, they've got
a couple of years ago. The star guy that he got hurt while on the field.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Bryce Young?
I don't know. I can't remember. Chase something, I think.
Keep talking. I'll look at it.
I think he's a defensive end.
Chase Young.
That's it. He was supposed to be their up and coming star, but he was hurt. I don't know if he's back or not. But I don't know. The team's a dumpster fire. You left from Kansas City to go to Washington because your feelings are hurt.
Well, I was going to say, supposedly he's going to get more play calling opportunities and more of a voice with Washington. Let me throw you a theory out there, Nick. So Washington was 8-1 last season, and which is it's 500, but they were dead last because everybody else in the NFC East was great. Do you think and Ron Rivera had that whole controversy towards the end of last season where he played the backup quarterback because he didn't realize they could have been eliminated that week. The success of Washington as of late has been bleh, especially do you think maybe he was doing this because he could see a situation where Ron Rivera, with one more bad Washington season, gets fired, and then he can slide right in? I'll give you my answer first because I told you it. I think I've said it in the ETB minute. I think that's what he sees, and I think that is a situation that could happen. However, I think as long as Dan Snyder is in charge of that team, it will not happen.
I agree with you. And I think this is all smoke and mirrors after he took the job with Washington because they technically said, oh, he's an assistant head coach and offensive coordinator, like 2 job titles, makes his job better than what he was doing in Kansas City. This is a mistake. And dare I say it, career suicide. Because you're going to leave winning NFL championships, NFL titles over a team that's a dumpster fire and rebuilding, who had Carson Wentz as a starting quarterback. That was your choice, and you were mad, and you came out and said that I'm tired of being an Andy Reid shadow. Andy Reid might be around 2 to 3 more years. God forbid I should win 2 or 3 more titles, possibly.
Well, are you suggesting that if Andy Reid were to retire 2 or 3 years from now, and Eric Bieniemy has stayed, do you think he would have been elevated to the head coach?
I can't say for sure that he would have been the head coach, but you would have had to automatically consider him at the top of the list.
I was gonna say maybe fallacy freedom, but would you say he would have been at least? Do you think he would have had a better shot staying there and waiting for Reid to retire than he does right now, doing this cross jump from OC to OC position?
Yes, because he's known by the organization. He's been there for God knows how long. I lost track. But I think he was part of the title last time. So he's got 2 titles under his belt as an offensive coordinator. Most people can't say that they're part of 2 championships. That's a rare opportunity in itself. So the other thing that makes no sense, he went, and I explained this to you when we did the prep for the show. He made a lateral move rather than a.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant from OC to OC position.
Right. I'm saying that he made a lateral move in business. Forget sports. You're not supposed to make a lateral move when you're trying to make a jump. That's the mistake that he made. If the only move was to go lateral, why not just stay in Kansas City and win with Patrick Mahomes? That makes no sense. So now you're stuck in a rebuild for what? 3 to 4 years, maybe? You're not going to win. And then you know what's going to happen? He's going to watch Kansas City end up in another Super Bowl and say, oh, man, I should have not left. Shouldn't have left. But the one thing I will say, though, it is unfair what's going on and what's happening with Bieniemy. Because Hackett, and we keep referring to Hackett and to Nagy, a few names that were able to jump right into head coaching positions. Why does Eric Bieniemy have to, the only way to move to go laterally and to go to eventually get a head coaching position? That's a problem.
Well,
that's the issue.
I'm going to add a couple more names in there. Matt Rule, Carolina. Joe Judge with the Giants. That it is kind of the whole thing with Eric Bieniemy has exposed the problem with the NFL. I mean, you shouldn't say exposed a problem. I mean, it's the prime example right now of a problem where certain coaches are not getting fair shots. How is it that, again, as you mentioned, Eric Bieniemy won the championship with Kansas City, has been a key player in their offense, and we're just talking about it right now. Now, granted, this was the only move made during the off season, involving Bieniemy. So we can't really take the success and apply it to the previous turndowns. But still, I think it is worth mentioning that Bieniemy, that there were people, and I'm guilty of it, that said once the Kansas City was going to lose in the divisional round, or they were going to lose in the wild card round. And what did they do? Even, Tyreek who? Because Travis Kelce has been both the tight end and wide receiver one there. He has revitalized the career of Juju. Patrick Mahomes has revitalized the career of Juju Smith-Schuster. Actually, you could throw Eric Bieniemy in there because he is the one coming up with the game plans and such. Mecole Hardman and everybody and all the different role players around. So somebody like Eric Bieniemy should be considered for a head coach. After the Broncos fired Nathaniel Hackett, I wouldn't have blamed them if they hired Bieniemy. I wouldn't have blamed Carolina for hiring Bieniemy in this office. I mean, I wouldn't blame. I would have been happy with Bieniemy landing a job in one of those positions, but because they chose to go in different directions, whether it be because they had their eye on somebody else, or if it be because it's bringing up the race card.
Oh, it's 100% an issue, the race card. And by the way, if you're going to tell me Frank Reich is a better coaching opportunity than Eric Bieniemy, you know what? Because we were already, I can't even find it at the moment. Where the hell is it?
What?
Where's this? Oh, there it is.
Stay off the weed.
Wait, Nick, you're telling me somebody thinks Frank Reich is actually going to be a good head coach over in Carolina?
I mean, it's so ridiculous. You could play the same sound effects for Hackett. You really could. What is Hackett? And now Hackett's an offensive coordinator for the Jets.
I was going to say, there's only one sound effect that can really play involving Hackett, Nick.
Oh, God.
Because he is a clown.
It's true. And now he's going to destroy the Jets, which I'm waiting for. But this is a problem. The race card is a problem. I do think that that's a major part of this, that for some reason the NFL, even with the Rooney rule in hand, can still not get past the race issue. Look what happened in Carolina also. They got rid of Wilkes.
Mm-hmm.
So you have Wilkes and Bieniemy, who both...
Because Nick, wasn't Frank Reich the very first quarterback in Carolina history?
You know how dumb that sounds, right? You know how ridiculous that's... Oh, he was the first quarterback in the organization. Let's bring him back as a head coach.
Nick, what have I said multiple times in the years of this show? Just because you make a great player does not mean you'll make a great coach or a great manager or anything like that.
There's very few across all of sports that I think of as great coaches. Well, not even a few. There's only one that...
just because you make a great coach doesn't mean you'll make a great executive either on that end.
Phil Jackson, your name's being called right now. What was it? Oh, Mike Scioscia. Mike Scioscia is one of the very few that was a catcher. Now they say most catchers are great managers. Mm-hmm. So, but he's one of the only one I can really think of on the top of my head that really became a good head coach. Actually, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but Jason Kidd has kind of turned into a decent head coach too. But it took a little while for him to get there and a lot of controversies along the way. But this is a problem. Eric Bieniemy, for some reason, has... Well, I can't make that saying because then people will say I'm being racist. The cloud. That's all I'll say. Has a cloud over him. That's the nicest way I can say it.
He's cursed. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
He's cursed.
There's no way to fix this.
Speaking of your New York Jets, so Derek Carr apparently was spotted out and visiting with the Jets this weekend.
Yeah, I did an ETB minute on this because he had visited in New York. He met with Robert Saleh. He met with some of the other coaches. And believe it or not, I found out about this Downing. Todd Downing, I think is the guy's name, the quarterback's coach, who they hired. Guess what? Connection with when he was with the Raiders.
Not that, but then you've also got the fact that you've hired Hackett. So you know what this is? Hey, we're prepared for either scenario.
I can't. This team,
Nick,
What?
now just imagine the Jets get neither of them.
If Zach Wilson comes back, I'm going to explode. I'm telling you now that it's going to be a great content day if Zach Wilson comes back, and I'm going to explode. Now, I said it in the ETB minute. Derek Carr is got it. I even said it. Derek Carr is the quarterback of the Jets, and I mean that in a lot of ways. Don't bring Aaron Rodgers in here. I don't want to hear that. He came out of the darkness early, so maybe he'll make a decision sooner.
Well,
But
funny that you say that, Nick, because we had a very interesting report a couple of days ago on Get Up.
yeah, I saw that report. Yeah,
That apparently now all of a sudden it looks like, just like the past couple of off seasons, everything now hunky dory again, and Aaron Rodgers will remain in Green Bay. Actually, funny is Aaron Jones actually just reworked his contract, so he will be staying in Green Bay. And
I don't believe anything from Aaron Rodgers until I see him back on the field in a jersey. Sorry, I don't believe it until it happens. Because Aaron Rodgers, wait a minute, Aaron Rodgers could be happy 1 second and then completely pissed off in another moment.
Fair. And also, here's where I'm split. Yes, Aaron Rodgers is the better quarterback when it comes to accomplishments. But again, here's my question. What would the Jets have to give up to get Aaron Rodgers? Because he's still under contract. And the Packers are not going to take a $40 million cap hit on the season by releasing him and just letting him walk to wherever he wants. For somebody who's been, I know we make fun of Aaron Rodgers. I know we use the relaxed sound effect. I know we've had the issues the last couple of seasons, but somebody who is the face of your franchise, you're not just going to release like that. I mean, we just crapped. Speaking of Carr and Rodgers, we just crapped on the Raiders for them letting, for how they treated Derek Carr and how they had to let him walk because Carr had a clause in his contract that says basically he controls the
annual trade clause. Yeah.
Right.
Now, it's a little bit easy. It was a little bit easier for the Raiders because technically he had the option to be released and be a free agent. Aaron Rodgers is under contract. It's a much different situation. So the Raiders basically said, all right, you don't want to be here anymore. We'll release you. We don't have to deal with that $40.5 million anymore. And you can go do whatever the fuck you want. And you don't have to come back here anymore. Aaron Rodgers, if he's making $60 million a year, almost over 2 years, essentially, and the cap hit is going to be massive, so they're going to have to get some type of value back in return. What that value is, I don't know. It is going to take a hit slightly because, again, is Aaron Rodgers going to play 1 year? Is he going to play 2 years? We don't know. He's going to question himself after even 1 year.
But that's my thing. It's like, yes, Aaron Rodgers is the better quarterback when it comes to accomplishments. He is the better quarterback when it comes to rating. And I mean, again, is Derek Carr the easier option because he is a free agent, because he had the power to say, screw you, Josh McDaniels, out of here. And because, again, like I said in the last week, you used my quote for the intro. Someone is going to pay him.
Oh, no, that's not a question. Well, talking about Derek Carr, yes, someone will pay him. But what I wouldn't pay Aaron Rodgers $59 million. And on top of it, having to give up trade capital on top of it, the trade capital is going to take a hit because of the money. I'm just going to tell you that right now. That's the plain yes.
Little toy, but yeah.
Right. Derek Carr doesn't cost you anything except the contract. That's it. Doesn't cost you anything else.
Well, I mean, Derek Carr's value is probably going up because we talked about it's going to be an issue throughout the NFL. Daniel $1 million supposedly a year. I mean that we talked about this, Nick. We talked about this when it came to that Deshaun contract. So you got Daniel Jones, Derek Carr being free agents, Lamar Jackson, whatever his situation is. The quarterback market at this rate is going to be quite the bleep show this season.
Yeah, and by the way, the reports that Daniel Jones reportedly asked for $45 million, get the fuck out of here. If I'm the Giants, there's the door. Don't let it hit you in the ass on the way out.
Well, who do you have to replace him?
Quarterbacks are like running backs. You can find somebody. You're not paying. You're going to pay Daniel Jones $45 million a year.
I don't want to.
Is Daniel Jones $45 million worth of value to the Giants?
Again, I don't want to. But what are the Giants' options right now?
And by the way, you're just coming off clearing all that cap space to make the team better. Now you're going to put $45 million back on? There's no. I would say to Daniel Jones, you want $35 million? This is where you've been proven that you're going to win? That's the offer. If you're going to walk away over money to go to a team that's not going to compete, that's on you.
So let me then ask you from a Jet fan perspective. Who should the Giants spend the money on? Daniel Jones or Saquon Barkley?
That's a good question. Saquon Barkley. Definitely. Because running backs are hard to come by. They're really hard to come by.
And I know he had injury issues. I'd say the only thing that makes me leave is I know 3 years he had injury issues, but his rookie year and this past season, I mean, he showed his ability to be a top 5 quarterback. I mean, top 5 running back in this league.
Oh, no. He proved above and beyond when he wasn't hurt that he can run for 120, 130 yards a game when needed. Excuse me. But they need a quarterback that's consistent.
Well, that's a plus. We just talked about Nick, above quarterback, above running back. There's something else that the Giants need. They need a playmaking receiver.
Yes. Oh, I've said that for a long time, and I still think they should go after DeAndre Hopkins.
All right. We'll talk more about the NFL offseason as the offseason progresses. Nick, we are actually a couple of weeks away from the start of the new NFL calendar year, which opens up free agency and all of that. So that'll be quite the, as I mentioned before, bleep show.
That's going to be interesting because quarterbacks are averaging at the top of the mountain. And we didn't even get into Lamar Jackson. I mean, with the issues now, and the reports now that it's going to be a standoff between the Ravens and Lamar. If I'm Lamar, well, I should say if I'm Lamar, if I'm the Ravens, I'd be careful giving him a contract because he's been hurt the last 2 seasons. But again, he has way more value than Deshaun Watson's ever going to hold. That's a fact.
All right. Nick, couple last stories here. One from the golf world. Tiger Woods, well, having a little fun at with one of his fellow golfers in Justin Thomas, basically handing him Justin Thomas was looking for, I think it was like I forget what it was. It was a wipe or one of the golf balls or something. And Tiger Woods instead slips him a tampon.
You know what? I thought this was hilarious. I really did. People are being pansies. Sorry, but it's true. I love how social media exploded. Oh my god! What the hell was that prank? I mean, come on, man. Are you getting mad at Tiger because Tiger's had? Wait a minute. You're getting mad at Tiger because of all this controversy he's had that he's not allowed to have a little fun?
I'll tell you what it was. It was sophomore humor, which I am exposed to almost daily.
Well, yeah, you would know. But we all know from being in school. But my point is, people need to calm the fuck down. It was a prank. It's now, would it have been a different issue if he had handed that to a female golfer? That might have been a different issue in itself, just a little bit, because that would have been taken out of context. But it was a joke. Athletes like to have fun. If they can't have fun, they don't want to play the sport they're in.
Also, I get it from the fact of, what's he saying about women and saying that it's kind of degrading to women. But on the other end, Nick, we do have actually this story. Trying to pull you up, Golf WRX.
Well, he apologized afterward. I know that.
He apologized. Suzanne Patterson, who is the captain of Europe's 2023 Solheim Cup team, saying, quote, "Not meant to be offensive in any way, described as a boyish joke." Oh, here's a full. I know Tiger quite well. I don't know Justin Thomas as well, but I know kind of Tiger's humor. That's probably a very probably boyish joke between the two of them. And I don't really take it too personal. I think that was supposed to be a gag between the two of them, and unfortunately, some cameras caught them in the heat of the moment.
Agreed.
I think he meant to. I don't think he meant to be offensive in any way. I'm pretty easy on stuff like that. I'm sure it was meant as a joke, not as harassment to women in general.
Exactly right. That was perfectly well said. It was boyish humor. You have the feminist movement on Twitter where you're like, oh my God, you're offending us. I don't get it.
Again, I kind of understand it in the context of maybe you're trying to downplay, but I don't think he was trying to be harassing in any way.
I mean, Tiger Woods has had enough issues. I think he would know the difference between some of the issues he's had in a joke. And by the way, I think Tiger and Justin Thomas are friends. That's why they are able to do these things, because they don't offend one another. That's the whole point. When you've been friends for as long as they have, or we've done weird things on this show before, of pranks and weird situations before. Heck, we did a whole NBA Cares promo, for crying out loud.
Oh, I thought you were talking about ruffling each other's feathers, because, Nick, all I gotta do is play this.
RELAX.
I'm not even going to comment on that. Anyway, but we've ruffled each other's feathers on this show many times. You don't see us running for the hills and complaining to other media, but it's just unbelievable. 2 cameras or 3 cameras caught it, and it led to an outbreak that Tiger Woods is a feminist or a sexist or whatever. Sexist. Excuse me. Sexist. But this is a non-story. Social media sometimes does some sucky things, and blowing this story up was what social media did.
And I agree that if this is a bad thing, this is like number 100, like on the lowest on all the top 100 things that Tiger Woods has done wrong.
I mean, you want to go after Tiger, go after Tiger Woods for his cheating scandal, or going out with hookers, or crashing the car and almost dying. Don't go after him for a joke about a tampon.
Or his arrest.
Right. Go after Phil Mickelson. He's the one who's having the weird issues on the Live Golf Tour. You want to go after someone who's being an idiot, go after Phil Mickelson, not Tiger Woods.
One last story we got to get to, Nick. Brittney Griner, obviously, she is back in the United States, coming back after the whole trade with Russia. And she has signed a 1-year deal with the Phoenix to play for the Phoenix Mercury for this coming season.
Oh, I'm so happy. I mean, deserved. She worked really hard. Well, the U.S. government had to work hard to bring her back. But yes, I'm happy she's back in the U.S. She deserves.
You're saying the U.S. government had to work?
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. You're right. Well, they had to do something. They had to put the trade in.
It took a while for them to actually do something.
What, 8 or 9 months? Anyway,
8 or 9 months. And people still, the trade was still very critical.
Yes, because they freaking gave back the Russian whatever nickname.
What his nickname was.
But like apparently he's killed a bunch of people. Anyway, Brittney Griner being back with the Phoenix Mercury. I mean, everything at this point is gravy that she's back on the court. That's it. But I'm saying just being back on the court, I think, is all that matters for at this point. I don't think there's going to be any expectations. And I mean that in a positive way, not a negative way, that just being back on the court and playing. It's good for the NBA. It's good for the WNBA. It's a positive spotlight for the NBA because the WNBA has kind of had some issues over the last couple of weeks and months.
I was going to say, this is a story, Nick, that's going to allow us basically to move on from the Griner and Russia controversy, move on from the trade, move on from some of these bad WNBA stories we had over the last several weeks. This is a story to kind of, all right, let's focus on the basketball now.
Right. Let's play the game. Let's put the news on the court, not off the court. I mean, you know my frustrations for these stories over the last 8 to 9 months. This was leading our show for how long? At least 3 to 4 months at one point. It was the top headline. Even when we had the NFL. Believe it or not, this was headlining some of our shows. I'm just glad she's back. She's going to bring a lot of eyeballs back to the WNBA now being on the court. I don't know where the Mercury stand. She definitely will make them better. I don't know what her game is going to be like. Like we said, she hasn't played for many, many months.
As long as Nick, as long as the the New York Liberty prove to be the hype that they are, I'm going to be very happy.
New York Liberty are going to be a great team now that they got Breonna Stewart, and now they have, they're, dare I say, they have a big three in the WNBA for the Liberty.
Technically, they do.
And by the way, too bad the Knicks don't own the Liberty anymore.
That's all right, because you know what? I mean, we're recording this on Thursday night. As long as by next week, where the NHL trade deadline, those reports come out are true that the Rangers are able to get Patrick Kane, I'll be very happy that a James Dolan team is actually going all in on a championship.
Wow, says the person who didn't want to actually release that news yet, went on that rumor.
I said if it comes true. There's still a week's time.
Oh, man. I mean, like I said, happy that she's back. She deserves to be back. There's going to be a lot of people at those games now that she's back. And just a positive turn for the WNBA. Wow. I can't believe I just said that.
And a positive way to end the show. And Nick, another positive way to end the show. We actually didn't go 2 hours. We actually didn't go 90 minutes.
Whoa!
We're back to normal. Thank God.
Oh my God!
All right. Make sure to follow us across the social media at ETB Sports, at ETB Network. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you get notified for all of our shows here at Empty the Bench. Our own Empty the Bench sports show, Game On, Fruity Cereal, the MMA Outsiders, so much more. Don't forget to hit that subscribe. Again, if you want to find our channel anyways, youtube.com/ETB Network. And make sure to go to etbpodcast.com to get all the information about the network and check out our blogs that are, being talked about. I mean, the blogs that are being written about by several of our hosts, most especially Hank and Dichter. Special shout out to him, Hank of Game On.
Yep.
And that's pretty much going to do it. Nick, this coming weekend, spring training games starting. So we're getting very closer and closer to baseball time. We're getting closer to the NHL trade deadline, the start of the NFL offseason and free agency. Can't wait.
Yeah, it's a good time of the year. Well, it's going to be
Madness.
March Madness. Johnny Montalbano will be all over that with March Madness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's that time of the year, unfortunately, where Gorm makes its return.
Oh, you mean this?
Oh, boy, it begins. Well, it began last week, but yes, it began early. And it's going to begin early again because guess what this year is?
World Baseball Classic!
Oh, boy. Can't wait. And no, I don't have Bart Scott. Can't wait. Well, I guess that's it.
Yeah, that's it for us. So, for Nick Morgasen, I'm Tom Albano. We'll see you next week on Empty the Bench. Take care, everyone.
Good night, everybody. See you next week.